3, 2. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. Joining me right now in the studio is Dave Dowling. He's one of the candidates vying for the mayor's job this year. And Dave, let's just get right into it. Why did you decide that you wanted to run for mayor?
I've decided I wanted to run for mayor because there seems to be leadership left in the city council on all issues.
Okay.
Whether it's the environment, council's wages, infrastructure, or 23rd Ave, whichever you name it, we need leadership on all these issues.
So, now see, and I've noticed on your website that you say leadership, leadership, leadership is your thing. So I've been in the city now since off and on since '92. And to me, this is the council that has more leadership and more cohesiveness than any council I've seen in ages. Now, a lot of that has to do with the making of council. It also has to do with the mayor, who seems to be supplying some leadership. So how do you say that there isn't any?
I say there isn't any because we're getting stuff like 8% tax raises. We have 23rd Avenue, which has gone from $100 million to almost $300 million. And you combine that with the 3 kilometers of LRT that's cost $600 million. We're almost spending $1 billion on 3.1 kilometers of transit.
You understand that part of this, I mean, it's an awfully large amount of money. You understand part of this, so it's a construction cost of about that.
Yes, but I think the other part is we've had a mayor that's been doing tax and spend and tax policies instead of cost-effective budgeting. Like I'm sure the LRT for $600 million, we could have done more than 3 kilometers if we'd done a more cost-effective way of doing it. And I'm sure there is ways of doing that that would have been far, far cheaper, done the same job.
But you're sure that you don't have the information to back it up as far as you look at the city's books and you see how it's changed.
Well,
you're making these comments.
No, I have heard that we could put a high-speed LRT line in between Calgary and Edmonton for just $1 billion or $2 more than what they've spent on this 3.1 kilometers of transit I've talked about.
Right.
Yes.
High-speed train.
Yes, and that's like over 200 kilometers.
Dave, let me just ask you this right off the bat, because we've had some interesting characters run for council in the past.
Sure.
You come on in a camouflage jacket and reflective shades. How do you think people will respond to this?
I think people would respond that I'm showing leadership by dressing like a normal person. Like this jacket here
That's
cost
like a
me.
normal person, but what is this?
This jacket here cost me less than $7. I think that shows that I'm able to budget, which is very, very important when you're on city council.
That's how you see it. Okay, now I went to your website last night, and one of the things I was looking at, you talk about leadership and you throw out numbers. One of the things here that you think you should do, which is interesting because you're talking about leadership and fiscal responsibility, is that you advocate buying up properties along the riverbank, raising them to the ground so that there are more parks, more trees, more squirrels, more bees, more places for people to just, you say, stop out and see, look at the nature. I mean, this is the stuff that you're writing.
Yes, I think
first
people
off,
would rather have
hold on a second.
a river valley that's filled with trees and nature rather than a white avenue running through it.
And you think fiscally responsible is going through buying a property and raising it so we can have parkland?
Yes, I think that would be more in tune with what Edmontonians like than putting coffee bars in there so tourists can have something to include the river valley.
Okay, and I'm also looking at
Most
this.
tourists like to see trees in this. I put what you're talking about on my website, Dave.net,
Yeah.
because of one candidate was proposing to spend $10 to $20 million a year on the river valley, putting in coffee bars and concrete paths. And I think most Edmontonians really don't want that in the river valley.
I can't imagine the millions it would cost to raise the properties and put in parks as well.
Yes,
And
I think that would
Dave,
be
hold on for just a
that
second.
would be a better thing than putting in coffee bars. I think it would be more responsible to spend that $10 million a year if we're going to do that on making more
First of all,
parkland.
it would probably cost more than that. And maybe we could agree to distribute it immediately when we fiscally responsible. I'm looking at your stuff, so I just wonder, Dave, I wonder somebody like yourself, who I'm looking at the website, I see spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes. I look at the information you've got here. Some of it, I think, makes sense to a certain degree. Some of it seems to be a little bit uninformed. Why do you run for mayor? I don't know that you can win this. I don't know that anybody thinks you can win this. But you choose to do it anyway. Why are you choosing to do it?
I'm choosing to do it because, like I said, there's been no leadership showing on these issues like the environment, like Tent City. Like Tent City, there was no reason for Tent City being there this year. We've had funds for years and the resources to make sure tent cities aren't there. 3 years ago, our mayor could have done something about tent city. 2 years ago, he could have done something about tent city.
2 years ago, there wasn't.
There was still homeless though.
I know, but there wasn't.
A year ago, he could have done something about the homeless. He could have done something about
But
Kansas
they
City
are working on
back
the
in
homeless.
June.
They are working on the homeless, and that's.
Yes, I know.
Sections that
Finally,
were set up.
since it's election time, he decided to use the homeless
That's-
for election.
That's not exactly.
Which
true,
is,
because they've
well,
been
if you look
working
at it,
on
you know, like I said, he could have done something about this all summer long. But we had Tent City all summer. Because there was no leadership shown on
They've
this
been
issue.
working on Tent City for longer than that. That's part of it. See, this is one of the things that, I guess when you see mayoral candidates come forward to run for office, you have to wonder where they get their information from. And you're coming out saying that nobody did anything about the homeless, whereas the city has been working.
Well, look, if they did
Now,
do
the
it
city-
again,
Hold on a
they
second.
put up
The
the
city
fence,
admits- hold on
hired
a second.
security guards,
The city admits that it
enforced them out
hasn't
of there
been
into
working
the
as fast.
riverbed.
Yeah, the city admitted that it hadn't been.
I don't know if that's really doing
operating as
something
it should.
for the homeless.
You think that, okay, we're not gonna get into whether or not you think Tent City is doing it, but the city has been doing stuff, you're coming out saying they're not. You're advocating what seems like interesting, odd perspectives on this.
Actually,
I
if you
wish-
look at my website, GoDave.net,
Yeah.
my weblog,
Yeah.
you'll see that I'm advocating fiscal integrity in government. I'm also advocating transparency in government. And I'm also looking at responsible government, like chopping the mayor's wage down to a reasonable level. This year, he's getting a $13,000 raise. Next year, due to the cost of living, he'll get a $6,000 raise if the current mayor is re-elected.
Well, I wish you guys the luck,
That's
Dave,
wrong.
we've got to wrap it up right now. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much for having
coming
me down here, and if you want to know any more information, just go
in. We're
Dave.net.
going to put it right up on the screen here in case you're interested. It is votedave.net, and you go there, you can check out his photographs, his YouTube site, and his blog as well. Lots of information around Dave's position on the issues. Right now, though, let's hand things off to the ladies.
Well, thank